If you could spend a moment with some remarkable people and discover what their life sounds like, what would you ask? Welcome to Are We On Air? An audio encounter. I'm Armand Nafei, and each episode will feature one conversation with an inspiring friend of mine who will share with us the soundtrack to their life. Greetings from New York City, beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of Are We On Air? Well, where to begin? This week's guest has been on the top of my wish list since we've started this series. Et voila, here we are. The wonderful fashion and furniture designer, cultural icon, and music aficionado that is Rick Owens. I bumped into Rick and Michelle Ami, his wonderful wife and muse, last Christmas in Los Angeles, and we got to spend a few wonderful evenings together. Which reminded me that the last time I saw Michelle was actually in Paris, while I was interviewing her in her beautiful studio/home. If you haven't already checked out her episodes, then do so, and that was episode 28. Well, Rick and I finally got to sit down, lie down, poolside at the chateau, just before Rick was heading back to Paris to get ready for his shows. And I got to meet a very thoughtful Rick that chose his words wisely and revealing the importance that music actually plays in his creative process. To give you a quote from him, "Music and shoes, that's how every collection starts." Well, we talked about his creative process when it comes to designing, but also our shared love for disco and the influence that David Bowie played in his life. But we also discovered that there's an exciting new underground scene in the outskirts of Paris. But I'll let Rick tell you all about it. On that note, as always, do spread the love about Are We On Air? And let's get to it. So, welcome to Are We On Air, Rick?
Welcome to
Are We On Air?
Are We On Air? Is that what this is called?
That's what it's called, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm happy to be with you.
I mean, we're lying here by the pool at the chateau. It's a beautiful sunny day. Life is good.
That's what I've been doing every day that I'm here. I come out early, like at 8:30 in the morning, and have my coffee under the lemon tree by the pool, and then take a dip at some point, a little skinny dip. And it's been the most relaxing, lovely Christmas ever.
It's a very quiet period right now, and I guess we spent Christmas, New Year's, and now New Year's Day pretty much together in this beautiful little hideaway.
Yeah, and then we've been running out to a few museums. We went to the Getty Villa, we went to the Broad, we went to the Hammer. Going to museums is kind of like going to church. So this podcast is about music?
It's about music, yeah. It's basically finding the soundtrack to your life. The way I mix it together, you actually hear the music while we speak, so it becomes like your soundtrack.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh.
So obviously I had the chance to chat with your wonderful wife, Michelle, for I think a year and a half ago.
Yeah?
Yeah, and we had a wonderful time in your studio in Paris.
Oh.
Yeah, and we had a fun little time, and it's a great soundtrack. And I thought, oh my God, we need to chat as well. And why don't we start with what was the most significant musical memory that shaped you as an artist?
Oh, it was probably Bowie, and it was probably in Porterville when I was growing up. There was a K-MART, and I kind of remember, and Porterville was a very small provincial town, conservative, inland California, so it wasn't even a beach town. Very dry, very agricultural. Anyway, so I remember in the K-MART, there was a bargain basement sales bin, and there was David Bowie's Diamond Dogs album in there.
someone will care, living on the breath of a hope to be shared, trusting on the songs of our love, that someone will care, someone will care, but now we're today's scrambled creatures, locked in tomorrow's double feature. Heaven is on the pillow, its silence competes with hell. It's a 24-hour service, guaranteed to make you tell. And the streets are full of press men.
I didn't buy it, but I remember being so disturbed by it, excited and disturbed and confused and guilty about my attraction to it. And so that album cover was a very defining moment. And I don't remember if I even heard it until years later. And when I finally heard it, it just was very impactful, and it still is. And I was actually listening to it this morning while I was showering. So yeah, that kind of, there was that mixture of glamour and the grotesque that always kind of stuck with me, and I think has been very informative in whatever I've done. And what's funny is that I have my men's runway show coming up in 20 days. And I reached out to Andrew Eldridge from Sisters of Mercy, because I wanted to use one of those songs, a song that had been important to me when I was in my 20s. And I don't listen to Sisters of Mercy that much anymore. I mean, I was so immersed in that at a certain period of my life, but it just felt like something I wanted to hear again and something that would be right for this show. I reached out to him and asked if I could do if he could do a remix of this song called Lights, that I'd listened to over and over and over again when I was in my early 20s, I guess. And he responded that he would really prefer not to, because he was so dissatisfied with the sound quality and the recording of that song. And he
didn't want you to use it or to make a remix of it?
Either.
Oh, wow.
He didn't want, and he said, I would never want to do a remix of that for you or for anybody. The sound quality is so bad, and I'm so disappointed in the recording and everything. And I responded by saying, I think there's a lot of creative people who end up being recognized for things that weren't what they wanted to be recognized for, but that's kind of what ends up defining them. And I said, I'm sure, I didn't set out to be remembered forever for sneakers and drop crotch shorts, but that is who I'm going to be forever. And there is something about a raw gesture at the beginning of your career that people latch onto, and that defines you. And I said, and that's kind of what happened with this song and with me. But I totally get it if you don't want to use it, and if it's not where you want to be. But I'm using it anyway. And I'll use it for the live stream, and if he wants to go after me, if it ends up on YouTube on my show, that's okay, because I've got a backup. I've got a backup mix.
But that's a very honest and beautiful, I think, artist to artist response.
I think it was, and I get it. I totally get it. But, the other thing is, like, you can't control how people use what you put out there. If you put it out there, it's kind of out of you've given up the control. Anyway, but my backup is Ephraim, who I've been listening to a lot recently. Ephraim and Shades, and I guess it's like a modern kind of dubstep, I guess. was listening to them and Moshe Pet a lot in the last couple of years because it is the most dada, surrealist, violent, transgressive music I can find right now.
Does the music find you, or do you actually?
Oh, I search. I really, really search. I search and search and search, and I go down, one pathway that leads me to another pathway that leads me down to another K-hole, and I just keep going and going, and because music is really important, and with my collections, I'm doing runway shows 4 times a year, so I'm always in the process of developing a runway show. And I usually figure out what the music is pretty early on in the process because I like developing the mix at the same time that I'm developing the collection. So they really are symbiotic and really go hand in hand. And every mix that I do for a runway, I've gone through every single second of it. I work with a friend that I've worked with for 20 years, and we just extend here, overexpose here, add something here, patch something in here. It's really, it really is like building a collection because it's 15 minutes and it's usually one song that I found somewhere that I either want to extend into 15 minutes or I ask somebody to do a remix, but then I also ask for the stems so that I can remix their remix. Mm-hmm. So, researching music is an ongoing process. It's a big part of what I do.
So it's like basically creating an audio mood board.
Yeah.
Pretty much even before even thinking about a collection.
Yeah.
I guess to a certain point.
I start with the mood board, like music and shoes. That's how every collection starts because shoes kind of define what the silhouette is, and shoes take longer to develop. So you have to get the shoes started before everything else in the runway. Then other than that, when I'm working, I used to listen to loud music all the time. Then, in my 30s, I guess. Then in my 40s, I started slowing down a little bit. In my 40s, I was probably listening to classical a lot more. I was listening to a lot more opera. I was listening to Wagner and Richard Strauss. And I've used opera in a couple of my shows. My first men's show, I did the finale of Salome by Richard Strauss, which is one of my very favorite sequences ever. It's rapturous and it's barbaric and it is violent and graceful. It's just one of my favorite pieces ever. And it's the climax of a story of obsession and vengeance and self-loathing, and it kind of covers a lot of it's a story that everybody on the planet can relate to. Unrequited love, and basically it's Salome wanting to possess somebody who is unpossessable and sexualizing it. And she's a 15-year-old princess who, after being rejected by somebody, in vengeance asks for his head on a platter, and at the finale she kisses his severed head, saying, "You wouldn't love me, but now you will, and the taste of blood on your lips is sweet, and now I possess you." And I think it's there's something there. I mean, obviously, it's an over dramatized sensation example, but it's a sensation that we've all, I think, felt a hint of that at some point. Then in my 50s, I started listening to things that were more controlled and sedate, like Julie London.
Smoking, drinking, never thinking of tomorrow. Nonchalant, diamond shining, dancing, dining with some man in a restaurant. Is that all you really want?
Things that were soothing and controlled. Julie London, Rosemary Clooney.
Find the way to love me. Find the way to tell me that I'm for you, and I'll never more be blue. Find the way to tell me I'm the one you waited for all the years. Tell me now and dry my tears.
Edie Gourmet.
Don't cry, young lovers, whatever you do. Don't cry because I'm alone. All of my memories are happy tonight. I've had a love of my own. I've had a love of my own like yours. I've had a love of my own.
jazz standards that were slower, and like Judy Garland and all of those women have done that song, The Man That Got Away, and there's something about loss and about evolving and about getting older and dealing with older stresses and letting them go. There's something in those songs that addresses that addresses the discomforts that we have to acknowledge and deal with in our later years.
The night is bitter, the stars have lost their glitter, the winds grow colder, suddenly you're older, and all because of the man that got away. No more his eager call, the writings on the wall, the dreams you've dreamed have all gone astray. The man that won you has run off and undone you. That great beginning has seen a final inning. Don't know what happened. It's all a crazy game. No more that all-time thrill, for you've been through the mill, and never a new love will be the same.
I like how you use this like eras of your life has a different soundtrack.
Yeah.
I always compare this like music is like a shadow that follows us throughout our lives, and it changes within our years.
Yep.
So everything kind of goes with the energy that we want, or we would like to dive in, or actually use as an upper to kind of lift us.
Oh, there's always disco.
Oh, for sure.
Disco helps disco solves everything.
Oh my god, I love that. Yes, I agree. Disco solves everything. Oh my god, this is so true. I don't think there's any genre that manages to get a good amount of even an average person who's maybe not so music refined still gets you, because it's such an uplifting, positive energy that comes out of disco.
Are you familiar with Greg Wilson?
I love Greg Wilson.
Yeah,
I worked with him before. Yeah.
So his mixes are just the most reassuring things that you can just fall back on and relax with and just feel secure and all's well with the world. They're heroin.
I mean, he's a master of his trade. I know it's very difficult, but if you could define with 3 songs, 3 tracks, who you are.
Oh, okay. Lights by Sisters of Mercy. Something Wagner. No, Strauss. The finale of Salome. I mean, yeah, that definitely. Marlene Dietrich doing Lily Marlene has always impressed me in that it is a kind of an anthem of love during war and loss and living for the moment, sung by a woman in her later years who maintained a very rigorous control over her creative expression. So yeah, that's a good mix.
Vor der Kaserne, vor dem großen Tor, steht eine Laterne und steht sie noch davor. Dort wollen wir uns wiedersehen, bei der Laterne wollen wir stehen, wie einst Lily Marlene, wie einst Lily Marlene. Unsere beiden Schatten sahen wie ein aus, dass wir lieb uns hatten, das sah man gleich daraus. Und alle Leute sollen es sehen, wenn wir bei der Laterne stehen, wie einst Lily Marlene, wie einst Lily Marlene.
That's a very good mix. You mentioned before, or at least that's what I heard and read, that you're, was it a genre slut? Is that the term you use? You like genres, which is interesting because I can see that, I can hear that. But what I'm interested in is in today's world, I call it like the streaming generation, right? Where everyone's just like pick and choose. You know, it can be anything. You don't have to you listen to rock. You don't have to look like a rock person anymore, you know, and or a techno head and a raver. Everything's mixed and matched today, where kind of everybody changes their style, not just musically speaking, but also like, you know, clothes and their creative output.
Right.
What's your take on that? I mean, there's so many, let's say, collaborations and remixes and all that in today's world. Is that out of a lack of creativity and invention, or is it pure commerce?
It just might be evolution. I really avoid ever disapproving of anything because I'm always waiting for a younger generation to provoke me, because that's what a younger generation is supposed to do. They're supposed to reject the systems of the generation before them. So if I'm disturbed by anything, I automatically think, oh, that's what they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be rejecting me and following a different system. So it's the right thing for them to do. So yeah, I see all of this magpie picking a little of this, picking a little of that, and kind of ending up with a jumble, an aesthetic jumble that I just can't relate to. But it's you know, it's in the moment too. I mean, maybe like in 10 years from now, we'll be able to look back and we'll be able to decipher how this worked. But for right now, it does seem very like just a ball of confusion. I mean, anything goes, anything is valid. And for somebody from my generation with my eye, I can't really relate to that. I like things a lot more edited and a lot more focused. But I think about just looking at the news. I remember, you know, when 40 years ago, when you looked at the news on television, it was a newscaster just reading the news. And now there's banners and scrolls. And I mean, just when you look at the image on TV, there's so much information. There's so many layers of disparate information that this generation has learned to absorb in a different way than my generation did. This generation absorbs a lot more information, a lot quicker. And they have developed an appetite for that, for a lot of information at once, for a lot of, and for me, I get overstimulated and oversaturated. But for this generation, I think they were bred on that and they need that. So.
But don't you think that this like overstimulation also feeds into this anxiety-ridden generation and society
Well,
that we became.
It does for me, but maybe it doesn't for them. I do wonder if it feels like overconsumption, and it feels like there's a lot of people, there's more people in the world than there used to be, and they're consuming more faster and faster. That just doesn't seem like it's going to end well.
I mean, I think these things are also all kind of connected. I mean, we just touched base on disco, and this disco, and especially in the 70s, I guess early 80s as well. This like freedom of expression, this hedonistic, colorful lifestyle, and and I guess in the past.
I think when we look at that period, though, the part that's appealing is that everything was new, and it was more joyous, and it was grateful. I think now it feels entitled. I think now our generation, all of the pleasures that we're allowed to pursue now, I feel like this generation feels like they're entitled. Whereas the generation before, like the 70s generation, it was new because they hadn't been able to pursue these pleasures before. I mean, sexual liberation, women's liberation. I think there was a level of gratitude that we're not seeing now. But that's just me being a cranky old man.
No, I don't. I agree with you. I see that. Do you have a favorite disco track that you like to play?
What is my favorite disco track? Oh, I Feel Love. That's by Anthem. That's everybody's anthem.
Yeah.
Everybody gets up for that song.
Is that your go-to also when you get ready for a night out? To pump yourself up, to get yourself excited?
I rarely get myself excited for a night out.
Fair enough.
Because when I go out for a night, it's usually like 3 a.m. after I've taken a disco nap. And I have an espresso, and I usually listen to something calm like Julie London or something to get myself pulled together. And then I go out and get someplace, by 4 or 5 when things are really sloppy and all juiced up and lubricated and messy and everybody's really peaking. And I show up all fresh.
Smart.
With an espresso, and I just absorb everything, and then I go home and I don't have a hangover in the morning.
Envious.
So it can be done. I mean, I used to go out and overconsume and everything and have hangovers, and I just don't anymore. But I rarely do that. I mean, I do every once in a while, just when I start feeling like I'm being too clean and safe, and I want to go out and be sleazy. I do that every once in a while.
Was there anything like in the past, I guess, years now, because we had a little break through COVID, but that really inspired you when you went out? Something you saw, heard, felt?
Well, there were some clubs in Paris that I was really enjoying that were just so polysexual. They weren't gay, they weren't straight. They were just on the outskirts of Paris, and the music was hard and loud, and people were just kind of having sex everywhere, but it was like straight couples and gay couples, and it was like, in the corners of the dance floor, and in this huge concrete bunker. I was really enjoying that period.
When was this?
That was like 3 years ago.
Oh,
It was before COVID, and I was enjoying those nights in Paris. I mean, you had to drive out a bit. It wasn't in Paris. It was like on the outskirts of Paris. Yeah, there was a real hedonistic joy that I loved seeing there.
Yeah, I mean, I just came back from Moscow where we went to some like a gay underground rave, and it was just so beautiful to see that there's this thriving scene, and the techno was so hard, and it was just like real. It was authentic. It wasn't money driven. It wasn't ego driven. Everyone was just
well.
Purely.
Thank God for gay kids. They will not be suppressed.
Yeah.
Every generation of gay kids are just gonna bring it. Thank God.
Yeah, I think the gay culture is definitely a strong source of inspiration and driver. And what have you recently discovered in music or art or film that inspired you?
In music, what have I discovered? God, I can't really think of anything. I'm listening to a couple of songs from the Rocky Horror Picture Show that feel very nostalgic and sweet and innocent and wholesome. I've been listening to those a couple of for the last week during Christmas. It felt very Christmassy.
On the day I went away, was all I had to say. I want to come again and stay. Smile, and that will mean I'm there.
When I go back to Paris, I'll probably be listening to Ephraim and Shades and those guys. I'm probably going to be listening to things that feel futuristic and modern and adventurous.
I like that you have like a soundtrack for different cities, like that kind of.
And different periods. I
with
mean,
you.
being with my family during Christmas, there was Rocky Horror Picture Show. There was a sweetness to it.
'Cause I've seen blue skies through the tears in my eyes, and I realize I'm going home.
But going back to the factory and getting Men's Runway resolved, the music needs to be adventurous and modern for sure.
Is that the same approach when you work on interior design, when it comes to music? And
Well, furniture is such a different experience because furniture is so much slower. So furniture just gets slotted in between collections because it takes less attention of mine. It takes full attention from Michelle because she's the one that's out there executing it and developing it and placing it and installing it. My participation is just at the beginning. It's just working on the models and the sketches with her, and then she takes that ball and runs with it. So the furniture doesn't actually get its own genre of music from me.
Yeah, it would be kind of fun to open up a closet and there's the music coming out. That goes with the.
Well, that's not a bad idea. Maybe we should think of that.
My Christmas gift to you. Let's go slightly more intimate. What's your go-to heartbreak or falling in love song?
Heartbreak?
Or falling in love?
Disco and disco.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, because they're both stressful and dangerous, and you really need to chill out. You need to like stay feeling secure and kind of imperturbable and steady, and yeah. So you need the most reassurance you can get, and the most reassurance is from disco.
Particular track you'd like me to play?
Oh God, there's so many. Oh, you know what? Lime.
Ooh.
I just want you. What was it? Anything Lime. Lime is great. Lime is just giddy and ridiculous, and it's giddy. Giddy. It is just giddy and frothy and sparkly, cheerful.
Move up, energize, beam on down to the other side. Move down, make it slide. Beam on up to the other side. Touch up, make me rise. I got to move to the other side. Touch down, what a ride. You made me come to the other side. If you want me to, I would like to do all the things you knew, the ones you made me do. Don't you want me to? Say you want me to. Do the things to you, the ones you want me to. I wanna see your angel eyes.
And then when you're out and about in town after, let's say, a heartbreak, and you're feeling super sexy, what's the sexiest song?
A horny song?
What sexiness means to you?
I Feel Love. That is the sexiest, horniest song ever.
So true. Well, Rick, to wrap up our little chat, if your life would be a movie, what song would play in the end credits?
Gustav Mahler's Fifth Symphony from Death in Venice.
Beautiful. I love it.
That was a pleasure. Thank you. I have to go hang out with my mom now.
Yes.
And then I'm going to the airport. And back to Paris. But it was a pleasure being with you. Thank you for that. Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks, Rick.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for tuning in this week. If you want to listen to the full playlist, visit ourreonair.com or our Spotify channel. You can also find us on Instagram and on YouTube at ourreonair. And a big thank you to my wonderful team at Studio Neu. I'm Armand Nafei, and I'll speak to you soon.